Sews. Today we're going to do another installment in the Make It Your Own series, and I'm going to show you how to add a Gothic arch to your pattern. So in order to add a Gothic arch, you do need a full band bra. That is a bra that has a band that goes completely underneath the cups and around. This doesn't necessarily work with a partial band bra using the techniques I'm showing today. So the first thing you want to do is pick out your bridge piece. Now you may have an independent bridge piece like I'm showing here, or it may be one that is attached to the full cradle. It doesn't really matter. You also might have a bridge piece that has a seam down the center front. So you can use this on a bra that has a seam down the center front. You can also use it on a bridge piece like this. It doesn't really matter. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to copy over my bridge piece, and I really only want half of it. So let me pull out a ruler here. Let me measure this distance. So we are looking at 1.5 inches on mine. So half of that would be 3/4 of an inch. So I'm just going to do a little mark on here so that I know where my halfway point is. So I am using just a light table to make this a little bit easier. You could also use some lighter weight tracing paper, which is also what I tend to do most often. So I'm just going to copy over half of my bridge at this point. Okay, so now I have half of my bridge copied over. Obviously, if you have a bridge that has a seam down the center front, you're already starting from this point. You don't have to do anything extra. So now we need to draw in our Gothic arch. So ideally, you want to make sure that you have all of the space that you need in here. So you need your 1/4 inch for where your cups are going to attach. That's already drawn in with your seam allowance. You also need a minimum of 3/8 of an inch down, and that's to make sure you're covering in your underwire channeling. But anything in excess of that, you can go ahead and cut into and make. So I'm going to be drawing a line on the bottom here, and I want a straight line that comes into the center of my bridge, just making sure that I have at least 3/8 of an inch here for my underwire channeling. So I'm going to do a straight line like that. And then of course I am going to have to add in my seam allowance. So for on this particular bra, my seam allowance is 3/4 of an inch. So I'm going to go ahead and copy that. And that's going to be my new cut piece. So don't pay attention to these lines or these lines anymore. So the new cut piece is going to go up at a sharp angle into the center of your bridge here. Now you would still, of course, cut this on the fold, or more appropriately, I would go in and just double this back over. So I'm going to go ahead and, let's see, I'm going to fold my paper here so that I can copy over to the other side of the bridge, because I do find that my preference is to not cut on the fold when it comes to bra pieces. And this is going to be my new bridge piece if I want to add a Gothic arch. We can go ahead and look at it compared to the old bridge piece here. We can see that everything is really the same all the way around. The only difference is just this little bit in the bottom here that we have taken into a sharp point in the center front. Now, of course, if you have a seamed bra or a bridge that's seamed down the center front, all you needed to do is just make that straight line and then you're done. So I'm going to go ahead and cut my fabric out of this new bridge piece here, and when I come back I'm going to show you how to sew the elastics into that beautiful Gothic arch. Okay, so I've got everything cut out. I have my bridge piece here cut out. I've got it cut out in sheer cup lining just because I think it makes it a little bit easier for you guys to see, because you can see what it looks like through the item. But any stable, bra fabric that you're using for your frame, this will work with. And I also got some elastics. Now I'm just going to be doing this on this little piece here, but pretend as if we have the whole bra constructed up into this point, right? We've added the outer cradle onto here, that's already been attached. We've added the cups in here, that's been attached. This is the time in the bra when you would be putting on your underband elastic. So everything up until this point would work exactly the same. Now, if this is your first time doing a Gothic arch, I would highly recommend doing exactly what I'm doing here and just practicing on a single bridge piece. This is not necessarily a hard technique to master, but it might take a little bit getting used to. And so it's always better to sort of practice like this before we make a mistake on our actual bra that we're in love with. So I'm going to need 2 pieces of elastic. This is another reason why I really love doing Gothic arches, because I frequently have little bits of elastic left over that might not work for a full band. So my under bust measurement is about 33 to 34 inches. So I need 33-ish, 32-ish inches of underband elastic typically when I'm doing a full band bra. However, when I am doing a Gothic arch, you just need 2 pieces of elastic that are about half of that, so maybe 15 inches. So it's a great way to sort of use up some of your scraps if you don't have a full band amount of elastic. You can go ahead and use it in a Gothic arch. So what we're going to do is we're going to apply our elastic onto the frame just like you normally would. So I have my bridge sitting right side up. I've got my elastic sitting on here, and I want the fluffy side facing up, and I'm going to align the edge of my elastic with the edge of my bridge. I'm going to go ahead and sew close as I can to the picot edge of the elastic, and I'm going to sew all the way up until I get to this point. So where the apex of the arch is. And then I'm just going to stop sewing. So let's take you over to the machine and show you what that looks like. Sometimes what I like to do, because it can be a little bit tricky for me to tell when my stopping point is once I've got sewing a little bit, then I'll come in with my ruler and draw a line to help guide me where I need to stop. Okay, so here's what it looks like, and once I've done that first pass on one side of my elastic, and then I stopped once I reached to that center point. So now I want to just leave this tail of elastic, whatever it is. I just want to fold it out of the way so that it doesn't get in the way. And then I like to use wonder clips for this, or you could use pins, whatever you want to just push that elastic out of the way. Now we're going to go to the other side of the bridge, and we're going to do the same thing. So you're going to apply your elastic all the way from the back band, your cradle, you're coming up here, and just following along and then stopping once we get to that point. So once we've sewn that second elastic on, it should look something like this. We have both of them sewn and they're sort of meeting in the center here, and then we have tails on either side. Now we're going to go ahead and snip into our bra material. This is one of the reasons why I highly recommended that you practice this first, because it can be really intimidating. It's just sort of cutting into your bra. So we want to cut into the bra at the peak of that arch, and we want to extend all the way up to the bottom of the scallops here. So we don't want to cut past the scallops, we want to keep below the scallops, and we're just going to cut into the fabric like so. So once we've cut into it, we can turn the bra over to the wrong side up, and you can see how I've cut here. It makes a little hinge, and that allows us to be able to bring both of the elastics to the inside now. So we fold one elastic over and the other one over, and it's going to cross in the center, which makes that nice even arc. So now we're going to go ahead and do our second pass of elastics. Remember, we still have our whole bra frame extended out over here, and we're going to do our second pass just like we normally do by sewing as close as we can to the straight edge of the elastic. And we're going to sew and sew, sew, sew. And now we're going to sew and cross over and continue sewing, and we want this elastic to sort of dead end into the cup seams here. The reason why we want it dead ending to the cup seams is later on down the road, once we put our underwire channeling in, the underwire channeling is going to cover over those raw edges and make everything look nice and pretty. pretty. Now, you will have the stitching from one side going over here and the stitching from the other side going over here, and it will cross in the center front like this. If you're doing a seamed bridge where it's really obvious where the center of the bridge is, I'd highly recommend going ahead and marking your elastic. So I would go to the right side of your bra, putting in a pin where that center seam is, and then marking it on your bra. And that way you know where you want those lines of stitching to intersect. Particularly if you have a center seam bra, it's really obvious if that intersection point is off. In something like this, where we have just one piece of fabric that is our bridge, it won't be as noticeable. So I'm going to take this back over to the machine and show you how I sew both of those in. So I'm going to do one first. I'm going to clip this blue guy out of the way, and I'm going to sew the cream elastic in first, and then flip this back down and sew the blue elastic. And here is what the finished Gothic arch would look like. So if I was sewing this onto the bra, once I've dead-ended this into my cup seam, I would, of course, cut off any of the excess elastic. And that way I'd make sure that my underwire channeling was overlapping on top of it when I finished the seam. So this is what it looks from the outside of the bra. You can see you do have some nice stitching that crosses here in the center front, which is why I told you to mark that on the inside of your bra in case you wanted to make sure you were hitting dead center. And you also have this really nice sharp point that forms underneath the bridge like this. This is also particularly comfortable if you have maybe a protruding belly and find that when you have like a straighter bridge that comes across here, it's hitting on your belly and pushing stuff out. This might make it a little bit more comfortable for you. From the inside of the bra, this is what it would look like. You do have two lines of stitches as you come and approach this center point here, and then you only have one line of stitches on the elastic where it crosses in the back. I think this is such a beautiful finish to a bridge and something I highly recommend you try out. I hope you're excited to try out a Gothic arch on your next bra pattern, and I can't wait to see what you've done. See you next time. Take care.